A thunderous roar splits Orlan Prime's dusty skies as a crimson star cruiser warps in low orbit. Market stalls jolt, scattering spice and scrap as civilians gape upward. The ship's warp flare bathes bazaars in blood-red light, casting long shadows over bustling streets. The ordinary life of Orlan fractures beneath imperial might, setting a stage of foreboding tension. From the cruiser's belly drops an armored silhouette, Zyra Kell, the galaxy's most feared warlord. Her conquest-stained blade slung across her back, she lands with predatory grace, boots crushing sand and scattered market debris. Her gleaming armor glints with trophies of countless battles, marking her as unstoppable. Awe and dread ripple through the crowd as legend walks among the common folk. Zyra strides through panicked crowds, eyes locked on Jex Marin's data-etched scarf. He freezes, heart pounding, as she slams her fist down on his stall. You carry the cipher of Karn, a death warrant. The ancient code emblazoned on his scarf transforms a mundane garment into a galaxy-shaking relic. Shock ripples through Jex's body as the weight of destiny settles on him. Merchants scatter as crates topple, and market drones pivot sharply, their targeting lasers locking onto Jex's neck. He braces against the impending threat, quipping under his breath. Great. Thought I lost this thing in the junk trade. Dark humor cloaks his desperation as the bazaar descends into chaos. The deadly red beams slice through the dusty stalls, heightening the danger of the moment. Zyra's voice cuts like a knife through the turmoil. Hand it over, or witness an empire burn. The bustling bazaar falls eerily silent, every eye drawn to the cold steel resolve in her gaze. No one doubts she would see her threat fulfilled. The terrifying ultimatum leaves the crowd frozen between hope and despair. As Zyra's guard raises gleaming glaive rifles, the warlord's knees suddenly buckle. She staggers forward, her powerful stride faltering as pain flickers across her visor. Slowly, she sinks to her knees, the battlefield's silence save for the soft clang of her blade falling to the ground. Turns to confusion as power yields to vulnerability. Zyra clasps Jex's arm, her voice hoarse and trembling. I beg you, show me mercy. The hunter becomes the hunted, her words shattering Jex's resolve. Empathy surges where fear once reigned, presenting him with a profound moral crossroads. Their roles reversed. The fate of an empire rests in his hands. Jex's pulse thunders louder than the surrounding chaos. He grips the cipher's edge tightly, eyes locked on Zyra's pleading face. The galaxy's fate balances on his choice, to strike down the warlord or to spare her and inherit the ruins of a crumbling throne. In that moment, an ordinary man holds the blade that will forge destiny's path. Orlan Prime's power rings loom over every city, towering pylons broadcasting endless hollow slogans. Honor Warlord Zyra's cleansing crusade. By day and night, their voices saturate plazas and workstations, drowning out dissent. Citizens pause mid-step to submit to the indoctrination feed, the pylon's lights pulsing in time with the warlord's drumming rhetoric. The oppressive broadcast installs control through constant messaging and spectacle, a relentless reminder of who holds power. Patrol hover drones glide along sky lanes, their tri-lens scanners sweeping for loyalty infractions. Biometric gates at every intersection engage citizens' wrist tags, color-coded scores flickering overhead. Jex ducks into a side alley, muttering, "My score's in negative territory," as the gate's scanner sweeps past his shadow without triggering alarms. The omnipresent surveillance makes freedom impossible, confining movement under ceaseless watch. Market stalls erupt in hollow ads proclaiming, "Cipher of Karn, proof of betrayal. Report immediately." Data projectors flicker in every bizarre corner, depicting the ancient code as traitorous. Vendors glance nervously at Jex's scarf's faint glow, his fingers tighten around the hem. Propaganda weaponizes fear of history, turning relics into tools of suspicion and isolation, deepening the chasm between citizens and their past. Enforcement bots roam the alleys, their neuro-whips crackling with suppressor pulses. They clamp down on scrap dealers, slapping metal cuffs on unregistered artifacts. Jex sidesteps one, his scarf humming as its Karn cipher encryption resists the bot's frequency sweep. Technology twisted into instruments of tyranny. These bots enforce control with brutal efficiency, ensuring no forbidden power escapes scrutiny. Jex's data-etched scarf glows faintly in the gloom, a stubborn beacon of Karn cipher encryption. Under an oxidized sign reading Warlord's mercy rations, he scans refugees queuing for water credits stamped by Zyra's decree. Their hollow faces mirror his own hunger for freedom. Survival here is dictated by political leverage, where aid is rationed not by need, but by loyalty to the regime. Refugees shuffle through ration gates stamped Warlord's mercy. Each credit dispensed grants life for a day. Hope and despair weighed in equal measure. Jex offers a nod to an old miner clutching a chipped canteen. The man's grateful grin is fleeting. Compassion is rationed carefully to maintain fragile loyalty, a currency as valuable as water in these controlled sands. Every clang of the power rings servos echoes tyranny. Every broadcast drones secured zones into the night. Streets vibrate under mechanized authority, while whispers of revolt drift in murky alleyways like dust motes. The industrial hum becomes the background score of oppression, a constant reminder of the cost of dissent. Beneath the surveillance glare, Jex senses a challenge in hushed alleyway murmurs. Stand with the cruel, or stand against them. He tightens his grip on the cipher-wrapped scarf, choosing the spark of rebellion over safety. The quiet defiance stirs, a flicker of hope against the encroaching darkness. Jex hauls Zyra's armored form into a collapsed underpass, his childhood rebel hideout now fractured by guild bombardment. Beneath jagged concrete and tangled rebar, he finds cover in half-buried crates and faded propaganda posters. The air tastes of damp dust and stale fear. But here, hidden from hover drones, he can tend to the galaxy's most feared warlord. The cracked walls bear scars of past skirmishes, and flickering lanterns cast shifting shadows over the refuge. Despite the ruins, a fragile calm settles as Jex presses medgel to her wound. Here, in this stolen sanctuary, enemies become allies, and survival demands uneasy trust. Jex slaps medgel across Zyra's shoulder wound. Her battle-scarred armor hisses as integrated stem cells flood the gash, sealing torn tissue with biopolymer foam. Each hiss echoes in the hollow corridor as he presses the injector's nozzle home, brow damp with sweat. The medgel's bioactive compounds accelerate clotting and repair, standard in underground clinics, but repurposed here for battlefield triage. Zyra's breathing steadies, and her fingers twitch weakly. For a moment, the harsh divide between them softens. His hands bring care where war once brought pain. Compassion transcends conflict, forging the first fragile bond between rebel and warlord. In flickering biolights, Zyra refuses his gaze, voice low, "I dishonored my house." Her confession lands as softly as a whispered ceasefire. Jex straightens, voice steady. Mercy's earned, not given. Silence stretches, thick with unspoken histories, as they assess one another across the ragged floor. The weight of honor and shame hangs between them, reversed roles challenging both. The hunter is healer, the captor survivor. This moment, suspended in quiet tension, marks the first step toward a tentative alliance. Words are sparse but loaded, each syllable a bridge spanning centuries of conflict and personal regret. In the dim light, two hardened souls glimpse the possibility of redemption. Zyra studies Jex's scars, gouges from salvaged skirmishes and near-fatal encounters. In turn, he notes her own jagged dents and scorch marks. Each line tells a story of survival and loss, binding them in an unanticipated kinship. Scars become a currency of experience among frontier fighters, a language of pain and endurance. Their visors catch the same faint bioluminescent glint, reflecting a shared history written in flesh and steel. For a moment, they see beyond the armor and enmity to the fragile humanity beneath. In their mirrored wounds, empathy blooms. Armored adversaries become reflections of one another's trials and sacrifices. As the stem cells kick in, Jex cracks a grin. Thought I'd die tonight. Didn't plan on patching a warlord. Zyra allows a tight smirk, her first warmth in years. Between ragged breaths, the underpass echoes with a fragile lift of tension. Humor, a lifeline amid peril, slices through fear's grasp. The banter breaks down barriers, stitching together two strangers forced into uneasy company. This brief spark of levity creates a fragile camaraderie, reminding them both of the lives they once lived and the hope for lives yet to come. In that dim refuge, laughter becomes a defiant act of humanity. A patrol botsward draws close. Jex steps into its sweeping beam, blocking its sensors. Zyra grips his arm, eyes narrowing in fierce gratitude. In that tense moment, she entrusts her life to the rebel who once stole her freedom. Human bodies can disrupt low-frequency scan patterns, a standard rebel evasion tactic. Jex's protective stance becomes a living shield, an unspoken vow cementing trust. The hover drone's red glow scans passed without alarm, the quiet tension broken only by their synchronized breathing. In this fleeting act, the fragile bond between captor and savior deepens, bridging past betrayal with present loyalty. Protection becomes proof of allegiance, the foundation for their alliance. Jex rigs a comm jammer from spare capacitors and scavenged wiring. As he works, Zyra hums an old war chant, its mournful melody weaving through the tortured metal of the underpass, steadying their nerves. The jammer disrupts CLR subspace channels for 10-second windows, enough to coordinate escape routes unseen. War chants carry ancestral strength, calming hearts before battle, their rhythms echoing across generations. This convergence of technology and tradition unites past and present tools, forging an alliance stronger than either alone. As solder meets circuit and voice meets silence, the duo prepares for what comes next, melding science with spirit to face the storm beyond their refuge. Alarms wail overhead as CLR troopers converge. Jex meets Zyra's gaze. We'll get you out alive, but no executions, promise? Her nod is firm, voice resolute, no more blood. Their pact, born of compassion and conflict, outshines any throne. In this crucible of war and mercy, two enemies forge a new future, rejecting cycles of vengeance. The clang of approaching boots serves only to steel their resolve. Clasping hands against a backdrop of crumbling concrete and echoing alarms, they step into the uncertain night, united by choice and hope. This fragile alliance is the seed of change, a defiant act that will ripple through a fractured galaxy. Deep within the rebel base's digger vault, Jex slips the cipher of Karn into a rusted hollow console. Ancient scripts cascade across the brittle glass, star maps of forgotten sectors, lineage charts of the Karn dynasty, and battle logs inked in crimson. Dust motes swirl in lamplight as encrypted data pulses through corroded conduits. The digger vault, once carved for storage, now serves as the rebels' intelligence hub, hiding secrets buried beneath the surface. As the cascade reveals history, awe and trepidation mix in Jex's gaze. This is a battlefield laid bare, its echoes shaping the fate of worlds. The encryption crown decodes a grim truth. Zyra is the last scion of the Karn dynasty, sworn by blood oath to wield the Judicator Protocol, an ancient purge designed to extinguish a galaxy-spanning plague seeded centuries ago. Bound by cosmic covenant, each heir is chained to this grim task. The Karn dynasty forged nanoviral weapons to protect vital trade routes, becoming both guardians and executioners in an unforgiving war. Zyra's lineage is a chain as much as it is a crown, her destiny tied to a deadly burden that has spanned generations. Hollow visions flood the vault. Ancestors clad in obsidian armor release nanoviral swarms upon pirate armadas. Entire planets convulse in viral fire. Survivors plead for mercy before inevitable extinguishment. These flickering images etch Zyra's heritage in blood and code. The Plague Wars left 10,000 colonies barren, a devastating chapter recorded in sealed archives. The flickering hollow clips rapidly cycle through burning ships, rolling plague clouds, and Karn banners dissolving into ash. Horror and inherited guilt weigh heavy. Zyra's ancestors painted salvation with ash, and now that legacy rests squarely on her shoulders. A silent echo of Zyra's ancestors' final command whispers in Jex's mind. I must bear the sword, or watch millions perish. Zyra's voice catches as she confesses, "It was my duty. Now it haunts me." The weight of this confession reshapes her from villain to tragic figure. She stands at the crossroads of savior and scourge, bound by honor but racked with doubt. Jex's chest tightens, empathy blooming as he recognizes the burden she carries is not of her own choosing, but a legacy thrust upon her. This moment defines the conflict between duty and conscience. Buried deep beneath thousands of code lines, a directive scrolls in white fire. Activate the Judicator Protocol. Complete the purge. Zyra recoils, her hand shaking as she whispers, "I can't, not alone." The console flickers, mourning her doubt. The Judicator Protocol is locked by biometric imprint and overrides moral subroutines, enforcing ruthless execution of the purge without mercy. The ancient law battles modern conscience, a coercion of spirit and flesh that binds the heir to an unyielding path. Zyra's hesitation threatens to fracture this grim covenant, hinting at the possibility of a new choice. Zyra lowers her head, voice barely audible. "I've slain planets for this, but now I doubt the path." Her armor vents a soft hiss, like a breath of regret escaping centuries of war. The oppressive silence of the vault presses in, heavy and unyielding, punctuated only by the pulse of the blade's runes. Jex places a steady hand on her gauntlet shoulder, a gesture of solidarity and hope. "Then choose a new one," he whispers. In this charged moment, the first glimmer of redemption emerges, a fragile light breaking through the dark weight of legacy. Rebel comm channels crackle urgently as Mandate patrol skimmers converge on their hidden base. The walls tremble under distant blasts, rattling loose gravel and crumbling stone. Jex's eyes flick to Zyra. Time is running out. Tactical protocols warn that Mandate reconnaissance bots triangulate vault beacon emissions with ruthless precision. The rebels scramble, hastening to defense positions while the breach signals the collapse of Sanctuary. Despite encroaching danger, their resolve steels. This confrontation will determine whether the past chains are broken or reforged. Shadows lengthen as footsteps pound closer. No refuge remains untested. With a swift keystroke, Zyra floods Jex's HUD with plague outbreak data. Maps of root worlds infected, quarantine survivors trapped beneath tyrannical lockdowns, and innocent faces lost to isolation. Coordinates, statistics, and desperate pleas cascade in an overwhelming torrent of truth. The Sword subspace link breaches Mandate Black Ops servers, channeling real-time feeds from hidden sectors. This flood of knowledge galvanizes the rebel cause, transforming scattered hope into focused purpose. Each data point carries the weight of countless lives, turning information into a weapon of righteousness. Jex's eyes scan the numbers, his mind forging the path forward. Ethris's runes blaze in golden redemption light. Karn Redeemer. The ancient cipher crowns Zyra with this new title, transforming her from scourge to savior. Her voice quavers but is resolute. "Then I must atone." This symbolic renaming reshapes her identity, marking the shift from burdened executioner to hopeful redeemer of worlds. The rune flames dance over the blade, affirming a power now steered by purpose rather than obligation. In this act, hope is born anew, an identity reclaimed, a legacy redirected toward mercy. Jex bows his head in solemn solidarity. Then we do it together. Zyra grips his shoulder with surprising warmth, an ally found amid forgiven violence. Their pact, once defined by lines of enemy and ally, now binds them as co-redeemers. This unity transcends past wounds and entrenched roles, forging a new destiny forged in shared conviction. Around them, rebel fighters cheer quietly, sensing the birth of a new chapter. In this moment, the fractured galaxy glimpses a fragile hope, a bond that could heal as much as it fights. Zyra hacks the vault's blast doors with ancient override glyphs, fingers flying over worn control plates. The metal groans as the barriers rumble open to the cool desert night. A pulse of crisp air greets them, a breath of freedom long denied. The override bypasses mandate security locks using Covenant biometrics encoded within the cipher, Vault Engineering Compendium, Sect. 12. Shadows stretch as they step into possibility, the vault's secrets behind them, and the uncertain path ahead. This escape marks the transition from captive burden to crusading redeemer. As alarms crescendo around them, Zyra murmurs softly, "Lead me to redemption." Jex nods, voice steady. "Stay close, redeemer." Together, they vanish into the shifting sands beneath starlit skies, heirs to a legacy reborn through mercy and conviction. Footprints trail behind them, fading in the desert wind. The blade's runes pulse softly, a guiding light in the darkness. This moment seals their shared mission, a covenant renewed, a future forged not by blood, but by choice. As the rebel base fades into silence, a new chapter begins under the watchful gaze of the stars. Across every star system, mandate holos erupt in urgent red overlays. Rebel warlord fugitive, redeemer to be exterminated. Command ships and civilian stations relay the decree relentlessly. Transport decks bustle with passengers clutching data scarves, while Admiralty officers stamp Priority 1 across all comm channels. Zyra's visage dominates holoscreens, her image branded with the chilling tagline, "By mandate decree, eliminate its sight." This proclamation turns the Redeemer from feared warlord into a galaxy-wide manhunt target. Fear and urgency ripple across the networks, signaling the mandate's unyielding resolve to snuff out the last scion and the hope she embodies. High above infected moons, Purifier frigates surge through ion-charged clouds, unleashing ionic storm cannons that scour the surface. Lightning arcs spiral across magnetic fields, scorching viral nanites into stasis. Colonists watch behind reinforced viewport glass as vessels carve bright corona rings, a desperate mandate gambit to quarantine the plague before it reaches core systems. The eerie calm of space contrasts with the violent purges below, fear gripping even the most hardened commanders as they battle a menace invisible yet all-consuming. In shadowy pirate dens, mercenaries hawk stolen Karn data fragments, hollow slates flash. Secure the Redeemer, control cure protocols, reward 250 million credits. Bounty hunters swarm hollow dealers, uploading encrypted shards and bidding aggressively. Each fragment sold shifts the balance of power, as whoever controls the cure wields dominion over afflicted worlds. Greedy eyes gleam amid murky stalls, whispering deals beneath flickering hollow ads. Jex mutes his comm link, wary of betrayal as the mercenary web tightens, turning hope for salvation into a ruthless commodity. Shelter beneath battered overhangs while ion debris rains. Jex grits his teeth, muttering dryly, "I'd settle for keeping her breathing." Above, the sniper's nest twinkles with static as charged particles ripple across its lens. His humor cuts through the storm's chaos, a small beacon of steadfast loyalty amid cosmic turmoil. Though surrounded by danger and desperation, Jex's quiet words remind that even in the greatest conflict, The smallest acts of devotion can sustain humanity's fragile thread. Rebel cells scattered across infected moons tap encrypted channels, pledging hidden waste stations and med bunkers. Bring her to Hollow Rock. Safe harbor awaits. Underground networks ignite path beacons in sub-level caverns, trading secrecy for hope. In exchange, rebels request Zyra's cure formulas, medicine for mercy. Jex inputs the encrypted coordinates into his HUD, his eyes brightening at solidarity born in crisis. The fragile alliance marks a turning point, as former foes unite against a common enemy. Hope flickers amidst shadows, a testament to survival born not from strength, but from shared resolve. Every potential refuge trembles under mandate scrutiny. Quarantine lasers sweep randomly, scanning for unregistered presence. Each whispered code word risks betrayal. Jex decisively cuts all comlinks, voice low and firm. We'll do this on our terms. They vanish into the maze of shadows, trusting only each other and the ancient ward of Ethris. Isolation is no longer punishment but strategy, a self-reliance forged in silence. In this solitude, their bond becomes their shield against an omnipresent enemy, as the galaxy's fate balances on their unseen footsteps. Beneath the bone-white glare of a meteor storm belt, Jex pilots their Corvette through curtains of charged particles. Hull plating crackles as magnetic shields repel micrometeors, each impact a staccato heartbeat of survival. The swirling chaos cloaks their warp jump, masking them in an electric veil woven from nature's fury. Plasma arcs dance across viewport glass, control panels flicker under load, and every moment teeters between destruction and deliverance. Amidst the storm's deadly beauty, escape is an act of defiance as much as necessity. Emerging beneath battered low orbit, Jex and Zyra steel themselves. Zyra grips Ethris's blade, her voice calm yet fierce. Time to save the galaxy, or die trying. Her words carry the weight of countless lives lost and those still at stake. Together, they sprint toward Rebel Command's hidden vaults, fully armed, determined to wield science and steel in tandem. The hunted Warlord is transformed into a selfless redeemer, ready to rewrite fate under the storm-lit sky. They breach Hollow Rock's sealed entrance as automatic doors hiss open to reveal med labs humming with biosterilizers. Rebel healers rush forward, kits in hand. Zyra kneels, scanning racks of inoculation vials. Jex's hands are the first prototype cure, their eyes meeting in silent promise. Mercy over massacre. The cure protocol, synthesized from Ethris's nanotech runes, integrates synthetic antibodies designed to halt the plague's advance. Science and compassion merge, a beacon of hope amid the scars of war. As Purifier frigates retreat and Mandate holos flicker out, Zyra addresses the gathered survivors. We save the galaxy tonight. Cheers ripple through cavern walls, hope radiating from every face. Above, Ethris's runes pulse in quiet triumph, light born from the void's heart. The silent aftermath holds the promise of rebuilding and renewal. In that stillness, the redeemed stand united, ready to forge a future where mercy and courage reclaim the stars. In an abandoned biolab, Jex scrolls through cascading quarantine logs. Hollow entries of containment zones sealed, bodies incinerated, and Zyra's early purges executed without discrimination. Data streams reveal orphan colonies vaporized in desperate attempts to halt a plague barely understood. The sharp scent of chemical solvents lingers in cracked glass vials as Jex's eyes trace grim statistics. Lives lost more to fear than necessity. The lab's silence weighs heavy, a mausoleum of unintended consequences where the cost of survival haunts every shadow. Zyra collapses against a sterile workbench, visor lifted to reveal glistening tears. Her voice cracks. I exterminated innocents to stop a plague I barely understood. Memories flood her mind, desperate villagers begging for mercy, lives erased under cold orders. Each purge, once justified, now feels like a betrayal of her own oath. Her armor emits a sorrowful hiss as servos quiet in sympathy, echoing the weight of her guilt. Vulnerability strips the warlord bare, exposing a woman broken by the cost of her own power. Jex's breath catches sharply. All those lives because you couldn't trust your people? His voice trembles with disbelief and hurt. The lab's airlock vents hiss as if gasping for clarity. He steps back, eyes fixed on the discarded cipher scarf lying faintly glowing on the floor. The man who saved Zyra's life now reels at her choices, trust fracturing like fragile glass. The weight of betrayal presses between them, making every moment thick with unspoken doubt and shattered faith. Between them, the empty lab chambers echo regret. Machinery hums coldly, indifferent to the pain within. Drafts whisper through cracked vents, carrying ghostly memories of failed experiments. No words bridge the widening silence, only the soft thrum of containment fields winding down. Walls lined with cracked petri dishes stand witness to a bond stretched thin by guilt. Their shared history fractures in the void between, where absence speaks louder than any reconciliation. Zyra kneels and slowly removes the glowing cipher scarf, placing it gently at Jex's feet. Maybe I deserve oblivion. Her shoulders shake beneath dimming runes, the fabric's soft hum fading to near silence. The scarf offers finality, the choice of erasure over redemption. In that moment, she embraces the void she believes she merits. The weight of her shame presses like a stone, yet the gesture also speaks of surrender, a silent plea for release from the burdens she can no longer bear. Jex kneels beside her, carefully draping the scarf back around her neck. His voice is steady despite pain. You deserve forgiveness and a chance to heal. His fingers tighten, reigniting the rune's gentle glow. This act transforms condemnation into compassion, a silent vow to stand with her beyond her darkest doubts. Forgiveness becomes power, an offering of hope where once only despair lived. The lab's chill softens as warmth flows between them, a fragile bridge mending what guilt sought to sever. The cipher pulses softly, a rhythmic heartbeat of renewed hope. Zyra lifts her visor, meeting Jex's steady gaze, vulnerability melting into gratitude. The lab's mechanical hum shifts from cold echo to companionable warmth, as if the very walls acknowledge their renewed bond. Together, they step forward, united by shared pain and mercy. The rift once cleaving them fades, replaced by a trust tempered in fire and forgiveness. Bound anew, they prepare to face the galaxy's storms as one. At Varela 3's quarantine perimeter, news of Karn's Redeemer spreads like wildfire across sealed domes and desolate promenades. Civilians who once hid in fallout shelters now emerge cautiously, faces gaunt but eyes burning with hope. Through reinforced viewport glass, orbital scanners detect masses gathering like a silent, swelling tide at the planet's edge. Makeshift vigils spring to life as shops shuttered by contagion tentatively reopen. Children press their faces to bio-screening panes, desperate to glimpse the woman whispered to bring salvation. The air buzzes with whispered prayers and quiet anticipation, as fractured communities dare to dream of a cure. Hope blossoms fragile and fierce where despair once reigned supreme, setting the stage for a turning tide against the plague. As twilight falls, thousands of biolamps flicker alive, their soft emerald glow casting a mystical light across Varela 3's quarantine walls. Crafted from fermented symbiotic spores and recycled statite, these lamps embody resilience, each a vow of trust in Zyra's cure. Pilgrims clutch these glowing beacons, raising them aloft in reverent unison, transforming bleak plazas into seas of shimmering light. Orbital satellites register the unusual bioluminescent activity, prompting nervous mandate advisories to note the anomaly. Below, survivors whisper prayers and chants to the Redeemer, the lamps swaying gently like a congregation of fireflies in the desert dusk. This shared illumination becomes a symbol of collective faith, knitting scattered souls together in their darkest hour. Zyra descends from the Corvette hatch, unarmed and humble, her once imposing armor laid aside for a simple cloak. The crowd before her, gaunt from plague and hardship, presses forward tentatively, hands trembling as they reach for her sleeves or clutch ration scraps in quiet offering. Mothers lift sick children, veterans salute with hesitant fists raised, and eyes fill with a mix of reverence and relief. Zyra meets each gaze with quiet acknowledgement, her presence an unspoken promise that the plague will end here. The redemption banner, once a flag of conquest, is now unfurled as a standard of healing and hope. Here, the feared Warlord sheds her title to become the beacon of salvation for Varela III's desperate survivors. In the dusty heart of a market square, survivors gather to paint a living mural with pigments mixed in biogel. Layer by layer, they craft Zyra's silhouette, reaching out to clasp Jex's hand, Warlord and Wanderer reborn as healers bound by shared purpose. Vine-like tendrils sprout from their feet, intertwining into a luminous heart at the mural's core. As artists work, the biogel's reactive compounds activate, causing the vines and heart to glow softly in the dim evening light. This living mural becomes a radiant testament to mercy blossoming from ruin, a visual hymn to transformation and hope. Onlookers trace the glowing tendrils reverently, their fingers painting hope anew upon cracked walls and broken hearts. Standing beneath the radiant glow of the mural, Zyra raises her voice, clear and unwavering. "I will end this plague." Her words ripple across the hushed crowd, weaving through barricades and shelter domes alike. Each syllable carries the weight of 1,000 silent prayers, voiced in unison by the hopeful masses. Zyra's tone is steely yet compassionate, a vow that calms trembling hearts even as distant alarms warn of mandate patrols closing in. In that charged moment, her promise crystallizes into the quarantine zone's anthem, a beacon cutting through fear and despair. The Redeemer's words ignite courage and solidarity, lighting a path forward where once only darkness dwelled. Beside Zyra, Jex kneels on cracked pavement, his hand finding hers in a silent pledge. He whispers, "Lead with mercy, Redeemer." She nods solemnly, Ethris's runes flickering softly against her cloak like a heartbeat synchronized to their resolve. Behind them, the survivors raise their lamps in unison, transforming the square into a living cathedral of emerald light. The collective breath of the crowd rises in a gentle hum, a shared cadence bound to Zyra's renewed vow. This moment of unity binds healer and people, forging a partnership steeped in compassion and defiance. The Redeemer no longer stands alone. Together, they kindle a fragile but fierce hope to drive back the plague's shadow. Beneath the market square, hidden pylons buried deep in the foundations begin to hum, responding to the cipher's subtle pulse. Energy lines ripple through ancient conduits, activating dormant biosterilizers in sealed medical clinics. Incubators glow softly as cure prototypes synthesize, while ventilators breathe fresh air into long-suffocated wards. The final barrier between desperation and deliverance collapses as Karn technology, awakened by mercy rather than conquest, ushers in a new era of healing. Within the vault's hidden heart, science and compassion intertwine, engineering hope into reality. The hum of the pylons grows, reverberating through Varela III's domes, signaling that the long-awaited cure is no longer a dream, but a beacon blazing toward life's renewal. Zyra and Jex step cautiously into the central bioreactor chamber, once the lifeblood of Varela III, now dormant from years of neglect. Enormous fungal vats line the walls, coated in dust, their nutrient coils slack and lifeless. Above, a vaulted dome of corroded conduits arches like a cathedral ceiling. The reactor's inert core sits cold and silent in the center, its pressure ports sealed tight. The air hums faintly with stored energy as the pair approaches, the only illumination coming from flickering emergency beacons casting uneasy shadows. Zyra places Ethris gently atop the reactor's hexagonal nexus plate. The blade's runes ignite instantly, casting a lattice of shimmering light across the chamber. Runic filaments weave through dormant nodes, projecting a shimmering purification field grid. Energy arcs flicker along conduit channels as the reactor's core slowly stirs to life, responding to the sword's ancient harmonic signature. The fusion of artifact and machine breathes power into the long-silent chamber, a signal that redemption has begun. The hum rises, swelling in resonance with the blade's pulsing light. A soft pulse radiates outward from the reactor, awakening Covenant nanites dormant for centuries within its pipes. These microscopic healers stream through the ventilation system, reprogramming plague vectors into inert organic matter. Their movement resembles a microscopic choir, harmonizing in a miracle of biological restoration. Each wave neutralizes toxins, and the chamber's stale, suffocating air slowly transforms, brightening with the first breaths of renewed oxygen. Life stirs again within the sealed wards, where despair had long reigned, now yielding to a symphony of hope orchestrated by ancient technology. Outside the dome, Mandate Purifier frigates unleash ionic beams aimed to disrupt the reactor. However, the runic purification grid refracts each beam, transforming toxic exhaust into breathable vapor. Shockwaves ripple through slag-covered corridors as the beams disintegrate into shimmering crystal mist. Frigate sensors falter, their hulls immune to damage but powerless to stop the healing wave. The very weapons designed to destroy become impotent, turned aside by Mercy's shield. The battlefield shifts as oppression's tools crumble against an ancient power reborn in compassion. Zyra steps forward with purpose. Her voice is steady but soft incantation. By blood and honor, I restore what I once destroyed. Her vow weaves seamlessly into the Nanites' chorus, every syllable commanding the healing wave in the Covenant tongue. The chamber resonates with this galactic lullaby of renewal, echoing through vaulted arches as the reactor vibrates in response. The ancient debt she once carried transforms in sound and light, becoming a pledge of restoration that humbles even the hardest steel. Monitors in adjacent wards spike rapidly from red to green as infection markers vanish. Patients gasp for breath, eyes clearing as skin regains natural color. Jex watches hollow feeds of awards. Bedridden children rise unsteadily. Elders inhale deeply, and medical teams embrace in relief. The plague recedes with every pulse, replaced by the tangible manifestation of Covenant mercy. Life surges back in waves, washing over desolation with the force of hope made real. The reactor's healing energy cascades outward, turning despair into celebration. Tears streak down Zyra's cheeks as they sizzle on the reactor's rising steam. She turns to Jex, voice trembling with unrestrained emotion. "We did it, Mercy triumphed." He nods, eyes shining with shared joy and relief. Together, they stand amid the humming chamber, the last shadows of doubt dissolving in their wake. The victory feels sacred, not just for survival, but for the triumph of compassion over conquest. In this moment, healer and guardian become one, bound by sacrifice and hope. The reactor uplinks cure protocols across every reachable medical grid. Nanite schematics, dosage algorithms, inoculation blueprints streaming into Starship comms, planetary networks, and even jury-rig comm jammers. No settlement remains untouched. Every outpost and colony receives the Redeemer's gift of life. The torrent cascades through space like a river of hope, flooding data streams with salvation. Command centers scramble to process the unprecedented flood of knowledge as the galaxy braces to heal itself. Across countless sectors, quarantine shields quietly drop as cure activation signals unlock planetary gate arrays. Trade ships glide once more into long-shuttered ports. Refugees step hesitantly, into open markets. Former mandate, enclaves hail Zyra's name in whispers and cheers. Diplomats ink peace treaties beneath healing starbeams. The galaxy pivots from fear to fellowship, answering the call of mercy and unity. The Covenant's promise, long dormant, shines anew as worlds once fractured now prepare to rebuild in shared strength. Zyra ascends the reactor's catwalk, blade raised skyward, runes blazing bright in the dawnlight. I forsake war. I live to heal. Her vow echoes through valleys and starlit skies alike, declaring a new covenant born from compassion rather than conquest. The weight of the warrior's past melts into the healer's promise, setting the stage for a future defined by mercy. Around her, the reactor pulses in time with her heartbeat, a symbol of legacy remade. Purifier drones now glide silently across Varela 3's slag plains, planting bioseed capsules with deliberate care. Verdant shoots burst through the ash and rubble, fields blooming where desolation once reigned. Villagers, soldiers, and survivors gather beneath the burgeoning canopy, tears mingling with rain as they witness life reclaim the earth. The cycle of renewal unfolds, a testament to resilience and hope. Nature and technology intertwine in a dance of rebirth, where mercy has forged continuity from ruin. Zyra turns to Jex, voice soft and filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Guardian of Karn." He smiles warmly, sheathing Ethris as the chamber's gentle glow envelopes them. Their silhouettes stand united beneath humming conduits, living proof of what compassion can forge from the void. The Warlord and the Wanderer, once enemies, now bound by a shared mission to heal a fractured galaxy. A new covenant dawns, forged in mercy, resilience, and hope. Dawn breaks gently over Varela 3's reclaimed plains, once labeled death grounds, now alive with emerald rows of wheat, bioengineered tubers, and phosphorescent cover crops glowing faintly in morning light. Rusted quarantine markers lean forgotten at field edges, replaced by handcrafted irrigation channels carrying crystal-clear water through once barren soil. Farmers, survivors of the brutal plague, move steadily among the furrows, their calloused hands nourishing the earth rather than fighting for scraps. Above, purifier drones hover peacefully, monitoring humidity and nutrient levels instead of seeking biothreats or enforcing quarantine. The air hums with life as vibrant green shoots break through ash-gray soil, a testament to the Redeemer's protocol and the land's healing. In this quiet revolution, the very ground whispers of mercy's triumph. Nature reclaimed, scars mended, and hope seeded anew. In a sunlit council hall repurposed from an old medical bunker, Zyra presides with quiet authority over planetary assemblies. Delegates from every settlement gather around holographic tables, displaying open-source cure schematics and biotech blueprints. Farmers, engineers, medtechs, and freed captives debate and collaborate as Zyra distributes mobile cure generators, ensuring every community gains access. She trains local leaders in nanite calibration and ethical medical practices, emphasizing transparency and shared stewardship. Every distribution ends with a unified oath. Mercy unites us. Applause echoes in the vaulted chamber, reverberating like the heartbeat of a new era. The Redeemer's vision becomes tangible as hope institutionalizes itself. Power wielded not from the throne, but from the grassroots, forging bonds stronger than any edict. Together, they breathe life into a fragile but promising future. Offered a prestigious seat on the mandate's high tribunal, an honor promising legacy and power, Zyra stands before assembled dignitaries and calmly declines, "I'll serve the people, not the throne." Silence ripples through the chamber before bursting into spontaneous cheers. Her refusal resounds across planetary networks like a beacon of humility. In that moment, she redefines leadership, not as privilege but as service. The gesture marks a turning point, signaling that authority belongs to those who uplift their communities rather than dominate them. Zyra's decision embodies Karn tradition, which venerates servant leadership over ostentation and inspires followers to embrace compassion as strength. She pledges herself as the guardian of mercy at the grassroots, choosing sacrifice over status. Around her, dignitaries lean forward in admiration, witnessing a new chapter born from courage and conviction. Within the newly established Healers Academy, Jex stands confidently before a cohort of eager medtech apprentices. He methodically guides them through Karn nanite weaving protocols, demonstrating precise hand calibration of inoculation injectors and imparting the ethical triage triads vital to frontier medicine. No longer a scavenger of scraps, Jex has embraced a sacred role as guardian of mercy, protector of life, and teacher of compassion. His lessons stress that healing transcends technique. Every molecule you repair carries the story of a soul. As apprentices practice on biosimulators, their confidence blossoms alongside the planet's improving health. Under Jex's steady mentorship, a new generation of healers emerges, equipped not only with skills, but with purpose, ready to carry forward the Redeemer's mission and nurture the fragile bloom of peace across scarred worlds. In the soft light of dawn, Zyra and Jex lead a solemn ceremony at the obelisk's base, planting a living Karn cipher tree. Its bioluminescent roots coil tenderly around rune-engraved stones, carefully set by community elders, anchoring the Covenant's spirit deep in the soil. They pour purified reactor runoff over the sapling's delicate roots, while villagers and survivors form a circle, placing their hands reverently on the rune stones. The tree's first leaves unfurl, glowing softly with violet luminescence, a radiant symbol that mercy sows enduring life. One by one, survivors approach, planting personal tokens at its base, broken shackles, wilted masks, and children's toys, each a testament to pain transformed into hope. The living monument stands as a covenant, a promise of healing, unity, and the growth of compassion that will nurture generations to come. In the sunlit streets of Varela Prime's restored capital, children dance amid flowering walkways. A small girl in threadbare robes tugs at Zyra's cloak, eyes wide with wonder. "Mistress," she asks, voice soft as early dew, "is it true you beg for mercy?" Zyra halts beside a market fountain, its waters clear again, and kneels before the child, the bustle of jubilant townsfolk fading into a gentle hum. Zyra's armor gleams with the light of a new dawn, yet her posture is unguarded. She reaches out, brushing a lock of hair from the child's brow, and answers, "I did, because mercy is the greatest strength." Her voice carries the weight of every life spared, every plague purged. In that moment, a hero's truth is laid bare. True power flows not from conquest, but from compassion granted to those once deemed enemies. Jex steps forward, placing a steady hand on Zyra's gauntlet. "And it saved us all," he adds, his tone both soft and unwavering. Around them, citizens pause, recalling how mercy mended broken worlds. His words ripple through the crowd like a pledge that forgiveness, once granted, becomes a shield stronger than steel. Together, they embody the Covenant's new creed, leadership rooted in service rather than sovereign decree. Above their heads, the Karn cipher tree's blossoms drift on a warm breeze, petals of violet and silver dancing in concentric spirals. Each flower, bioluminescent at dusk, symbolizes a life reclaimed from darkness. Townsfolk reach out, cupping blooms between calloused fingers, marveling at the tree's silent testament, that from the sharpest blade can grow the gentlest hope. The blossoms carpet the cobblestones in a living mosaic, echoing the mercy that reshaped an empire. As the child skips away, clutching a fallen petal, Zyra and Jex rise together beneath the tree's radiant canopy. Zyra's gaze sweeps across the smiling faces of Varela Prime. Farmers, scholars, former soldiers, all beneficiaries of compassion's victory. With Jex at her side, she lifts her chin to the morning sun, voice barely more than a vow. "Let our mercy be the legacy they remember." And in that single plea, a warlord's heart is reborn as a guardian of grace.